triangle actually in the box, that's okay. You can put the triangle somewhere in the blank space that's provided above that box if you want. So the 30-60 triangle theorem says in a 30, 60, 90 triangle, the length of the hypotenuse is twice the length of the shorter leg. The length of the longer leg is square root 3 times the length of the shorter leg. So the biggest thing that we should be remembering about a 30, 60, 90 is that it is half of an equilateral triangle. So if somewhere in, do you want to put in the space above the box this right triangle so you can label it? So shift this up here if you want. Now let's think about long and short. What geometric reasoning can we use to know that this is the short leg as opposed to this leg? What's the angle opposite of this leg? 30. What's the angle opposite of this leg? 60. Which one's smaller? 30. So isn't it true, using our triangle inequality, that this side would be shorter than that side? Yes. Okay. So short leg, long leg. So if my short leg, let's say, is x, the length of the hypotenuse is twice, so 2x, the shorter leg. The length of the longer leg is the square root 3 times the length of the shorter leg. So these are our shortcuts. Again, if anything, given a short leg, you should be able to get to, so 30, 60, 90, x square root 3, 2x. Given a short leg, you should definitely be able to get to a hypotenuse. All right, I'm going to have you guys add 2 other triangles before we get to the next example, because the next example is the hardest one that you're going to be seeing. So let's start with some easier ones. So either down at the bottom or just off to the right of that one, can you create this diagram for yourself? So you can either do it at the bottom of the page, there's plenty of room. We're going to make up 2 before we do the hardest version of it. So find the value of each variable. So we have a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And we have 6, x, and y for our sides. So the first thing we need to ask ourselves is the 6, the short leg, the long leg, or the hypotenuse? It's the short leg. Perfect.
That means this will be one of the easier ones to find out.
Correct. So how do I go from short leg to hypotenuse?
Times 2.
Short leg to hypotenuse times 2. So if my short leg is 6, the hypotenuse would have to be 12. Is the hypotenuse x or y?
Y.
Y. So y would be equal to 12. Good. To get from short leg to long leg, what are we going to do with the short leg? Square root of 3, so it would be 6 square root 3. Okay? That'll be the easiest problem that you can get. So if they give you the short leg. The second easiest problem would be if they give you the hypotenuse. So quickly make this diagram someplace. All we're doing is just switching the 6 over to the hypotenuse. So same triangle. Switch your 6, x, and y around. So in this case, your 6 is the hypotenuse. So how will we go from hypotenuse to the short leg? Dominic?
Divide by 2.
Divide by 2, so it would be what?
3.
So x would be equal to 3. Because remember, technically this is half the side of the equilateral triangle. If I continue this, I'd have the whole triangle. Now how do we go from short leg to long leg? Yep, short leg to long leg, just multiply by the square root of 3, so it would be 3 square root 3. Good. Okay. All right, so now let's do the hardest version.
I don't see how this works
Because now they're giving us the long leg. Hey, what's up?
Can I have a copy of the homework?
Yes, you can. So now that 5 is at the long leg. You're welcome. How do we get from long leg to short leg if we have to work backwards? Yeah, we're going to have to divide by the square root of 3, right? If we're going backwards. So this is where we just did all of our practice. So D is equal to 5 divided by the square root of 3. How do we do that? Multiply by the square root of 3, top and bottom. So what are we going to be left with? 5 root 3 over 3. Perfect. So there's our D.
I don't get it. What do we just do?
We took our leg and divided by the square root of 3.
Why for the
Just to get our short leg.
Oh.
This is our short leg because it's opposite the 30. Yeah. Yep. So now to go from short leg to hypotenuse, all I need to do is multiply this by 2. So it would be 2 times 5 square root 3 over 3. Which really, if you think about it, 2 is the same as 2 over 1. So don't multiply both the 5 and the 3 by 2. Only multiply the 5 by 2. So it would be 10 square root 3 over 3 for your D.
F.
F, thanks. So that's going to be the trickiest one, when you're given the long leg and you have to get to the short leg.
I'm still not quite sure how we do that, though.
Well, we're taking 5 and we're dividing by the square root of 3.
But why?
Because that's how you go from long leg to short leg. You get rid of the square root of 3 by dividing it out.
Oh.
Okay. All right, last one. We got ourselves an equilateral triangle with the moose warning sign. It says the height is 1 meter. Well, here, I'll do it over here since you guys have it pretty heavily shaded. If it's equilateral, what's this angle right here? 60.
60.
What's this angle right here?
60.
Well, the whole thing would be 60. That part would be 30. So does that 1 meter represent the long, short, or hypotenuse? It's the long, right?
So we know the length of the long.
So if I ignore that half of the triangle,
Oh no, it's another long one.
it is. So how do I go from long to short?
Divide by 3.
Divide by the square root of 3.
Square root of 3.
So that means we're going to rationalize it by multiplying by the square root of 3, top and bottom, which would end up being what? Yep, root 3 over 3. So that makes half of my side length, root 3 over 3. So what would be the whole entire side length, or otherwise known as the hypotenuse? Yep. Just multiply that by 2, so 2 root 3 over 3. If I told you to go out and measure 2 root 3 over 3 meters, would you know what I'm talking about? No. That's why it's asking us to round to the nearest tenth of a meter. So then I would get my handy calculator out, and I would type in 2 times the square root of 3, hit enter, divide that answer by 3, and we get about 1.2. I don't want to put my answer. It's about 1.2 meters long.
To the bottom of about 0.6.
Huh? Yeah.
Bottom would be about 0.6.
No, the whole thing.
The sharp end would be 0.6.
Right. Right. Yeah. Okay. Questions. All right. You